Welcome to my channel again. Assalamu alaikum my dear friends, how are you today? And welcome to my channel again. Today I will read 3 short stories, and at the end of this video you will learn 3 lessons about them. So be patient till the end of the video to know what are these lessons. The first story is about, does the lion's mouth stink? In a big forest, there once lived a lion. One day, the lion killed a baby deer and ate it up, but he still remained hungry. The lion thought of a plan and sat down near the thick trunk of a tree. After some time, a sheep came down the path. The lion called the sheep to him and asked him,
Hey friend, tell me the truth. Does my mouth stink?
Having said this, the lion opened his mouth wide. The sheep said,
Yes, Your Majesty, your mouth stinks.
The lion roared angrily.
How dare you tell the king of the forest that his mouth stinks? Don't you have any manners?
Saying this, the lion pounced on the sheep and killed him. After some time, a wolf came there. The lion asked him,
Hey wolf, tell me the truth. Does my mouth stink?
Having said this, the lion opened his mouth wide. The wolf thought,
If I tell the lion that his mouth stinks, he will get angry and kill me.
Just then the wolf noticed the dead sheep. The wolf said softly,
Your Majesty, how can your mouth ever stink? Believe me, your mouth does not stink of flesh.
The lion roared.
I just ate a deer and I still haven't drank any water. Then how is it that my mouth doesn't stink? You are lying. I don't like liars.
Having said this, the lion bounced on the wolf and killed him. After some time, a fox came there. The lion asked him,
Hey, tell me the truth. Does my mouth stink?
The fox saw that a sheep and a wolf were lying dead near the lion. The fox began to breathe heavily. He then went near the lion and smelled his mouth. He pretended to smell harder. At last, with a puzzled look on his face, he said,
Pardon me, Your Majesty. I am suffering from a bad cold. Therefore, I cannot tell you whether your mouth stinks.
The lion was baffled. He did not know what to do. The fox bowed to the king and went his way. The end. The woodcutter and the waterman. Once upon a time, there lived a woodcutter. One day, he went to the forest to cut wood. The woodcutter wandered the forest in search of dry wood. Along the way, he came to a lake. There were many trees on the banks of the lake. One of these trees was barren. It looked dry and lifeless. The woodcutter pushed his axe into the tree trunk to make sure the wood was dry. He then climbed up the tree and began to cut its small branches. Suddenly, the axe slipped from his hands, hit a lower branch, and splash! It fell into the lake. Ripples were created in the otherwise calm water of the lake. Soon the water became still again. The woodcutter climbed down from the tree and stood on the bank. He became anxious. The water was quite deep and he could not see his axe. Besides, he could not swim. Tears began to roll down his cheeks. Just then, the waterman appeared from the lake and said,
Why are you crying?
The woodcutter narrated his story. At once, the waterman went into the lake and came up after some time. He had a silver axe in his hands. It was glittering in the sun. The woodcutter said,
No, sir, this is not my axe.
Once again, the waterman went into the lake and came up after some time. This time, he had a golden axe in his hands. It was glittering in the sun. The woodcutter said,
No, sir, this is not my axe.
The waterman went into the lake and brought out an iron axe. It had a broken handle. Seeing that axe, the woodcutter said excitedly,
Yes, sir, this is my axe. Thank God, I feel so happy and relieved.
The waterman was pleased with the woodcutter's honesty. Besides giving him the iron axe, the waterman gave him the silver axe and the golden axe as well. The woodcutter's neighbor came to know of this incident. He too went to the banks of the lake, climbed up a tree, and pretended to cut wood. He then threw his axe into the lake and began to cry loudly. The waterman appeared from the lake and asked him.
Why are you crying?
The man narrated his story. The waterman went into the lake and came up after some time. He had a golden axe in his hands. The man was delighted to see that axe. At once he said,
Sir, this is my axe, indeed.
Saying this, he stretched his hands to take the axe. The waterman said angrily,
How can you cut wood with a golden axe? Before I curse you, go away from here.
Fearing the waterman's curse, the man went home quickly. The end. Count pebbles every night. Once upon a time, there lived a miser. One day, he collected all his gold coins and put them into a big pot. He then buried it in his backyard. Every night, when the whole village was fast asleep, the miser would go to his backyard, dig up the pot, and count the gold coins.
1, 2, 3.
He would then put them back into the pot and bury it. One day, his neighbor came to him and said,
I want to educate my son in Kashi. Will you please lend me some money?
Now, how could the miser part with any money? He refused to help his needy neighbor. One night, as usual, the miser was counting the gold coins buried in his backyard. A thief was watching him from behind a tree. The miser counted all the gold coins, put them back into the pot, and buried it. He then went to sleep peacefully. The thief was waiting for this opportunity. He tiptoed from behind the tree, dug up the pot, and took out all the gold coins. He then filled the pot with pebbles and buried it. The following night, when the whole village was fast asleep, the miser went to his backyard and dug up the pot. And what did he see? It was filled with pebbles. The miser was stunned. He began to cry. Hearing his cries, his neighbor woke up and came to him. The miser narrated his tragic story. Consoling the miser, the neighbor said,
Why do you cry? You were not going to use those gold coins anyway. You only counted them every night. Now you can count the pebbles instead. Does it make any difference?
The end. I hope you enjoyed listening to the stories. And about the lessons, the first lesson that you have to be clever like the fox. The second lesson is to be honest like the woodcutter. And the third lesson, you don't have to be greedy. If you can help anyone, so help them. If you liked this video, please share it with anyone you want, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you next time.